What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today I'm doing the what's next on Murodjon Ahkmadaliev, the reigning and undefeated and unified super bantamweight world champion at 122 pounds. He just returned after over 14-month layoff and made a mandatory defense of his title against former champion and IBF mandatory #1 challenger Ryosuke Iwasa. So Ahkmadaliev, was coming off his best win when he beat Daniel Roman in January of 2020, and he needed to prove himself, and he was doing that against Iwasa. He was outlanding him and kind of pinpoint shots and was pressing the action. Iwasa was fighting back. He was fighting hard, but Ahkmadaliev started landing some good hard shots. He seemed to stagger a little bit, Iwasa, but the referee jumped in way too early in the 5th round and stopped the fight. But nonetheless, I don't think anybody was in doubt that Ahkmadaliev was going to win the fight, but I think people wanted to see how he got tested late against a good solid veteran like Iwasa. And the premature stoppages happen sometimes. It's a shame in a big fight like that, but I think the winner was clear, that Ahkmadaliev got a clean win and he moves on now. So the big question now is, what's next for the undefeated unified champion Murodjon Ahkmadaliev? Well, the WBA has already ordered Ahkmadaliev to fight former world title challenger Ronnie Rios. I'm a little disappointed by that decision because I really wanted to see Ahkmadaliev fight Azat Havanasian, who KO'd Ronnie Rios clean in the 6th round in 2018 and is the WBA's #1 contender. But I kind of saw this coming. Rios had mentioned that he wanted to fight. In a way, I understand, because last year Ronnie Rios was ordered to fight Brandon Figueroa, and that fight never happened for the regular title. So now they're giving him the option to fight Ahkmadaliev. I like the matchup. It's another good test for Ahkmadaliev as he moves forward, and hopefully can set up some unification bouts with the guys from the PBC. Now let's take a look a step forward, because I really believe this fight's going to happen. It's an easy fight to make with the zone, and I really think he's going to get Ronnie Rios next. But do I think he beats Ronnie Rios? I do think he beats Ronnie Rios by either a stoppage in the later rounds or a decision win. I think Ahkmadaliev is going to win. I do think it's going to be competitive. But let's run through the top 10 and see what could be happening later on after that, after a showdown with Ronnie Rios, which I think probably comes earliest July. I'd say maybe August we'll see that. So maybe towards the end of the year or early next year is what we're looking at here. Let's start with number 2, because I have Ahkmadaliev at #1. Start with number 2, the undefeated WBC champion, Luis Nery. Good matchup. Don't see it. It possibly could happen early next year. It depends on what happens when the smoke clears. If Nery's still standing there with the WBC title and he's knocked off a couple guys, or one guy at least, big name in the PBC, then possibly him and Ahkmadaliev could fight. But I really think it's going to take a little more time for Nery or whoever to clean up the PBC with all the super bantamweights they got there. So I don't see this one after a Ronnie Rios fight, but we'll see. Number 3 is a rematch with Daniel Roman. If Roman was successful and captured a title and wanted to come back over and fight Ahkmadaliev to avenge that split decision loss last year, possible, but I don't think it's likely to happen, because I think Roman's going to lose to somebody over in the PBC, either Brandon Figueroa, Stephen Fulton, or Luis Nery. I think will probably beat Daniel Roman. But if Roman walks out when the smoke clears and is champion again, a rematch could happen. Number 4 is Azat Havanasian. This very much could happen after Ronnie Rios. Havanasian's the #1 contender. He's been, foaming, chomping at the bit to get a shot. But does the WBA order Ahkmadaliev to make 2 mandatories in a row? They've already ordered him to fight Ronnie Rios. Would they order him to fight Havanasian after that? They might, or he might just take the fight just because it's an easy fight to make with the zone. So I think that fight is possible with Havanasian later on in the year. Number 5 is the undefeated WBA regular champion, Brandon Figueroa. this is always a possibility that the WBA out of nowhere could order the regular champion to fight the super champion. That's what we got in this situation. Do I think they'll do that? I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. But I'm going to lean towards a no. I think Figueroa has other fish to fry at 122 in the PBC. Easier fights to make, so why risk it and come after Ahkmadaliev? But it definitely could happen. Number 6 is Ronnie Rios. That fight's happening next, so we don't have to worry about it. Number 7 is the undefeated WBO champion, Stephen Fulton Jr. Yeah, I could see this one too, but I think this is probably the least likely opponent that Ahkmadaliev would fight, just because Fulton's style is made to, it's that pure boxing type style. He's willing to get rugged, but he has that pure boxing ability, and I think that kind of throws a monkey wrench into anybody's style. So I don't think Ahkmadaliev is going to sign on the dotted line unless it's a must-take fight next. So I'm going to lean towards a no. Plus, he's with the PBC. Number 8 is Ionut Baluta. Well, Ionut Baluta is fighting to become the number 1 contender in the WBO next against Michael Conlon. So if he fights him, he would be in line to fight, what's his name? The WBO champion, Stephen Fulton Jr. So I don't see a win, no, and a loss. I don't see it happening later on in the year, just because Baluta coming off a loss, why risk it? You know, for Ahkmadaliev after a win, a possible win over Ronnie Rios. And then that 3-way tie for 9th, the rematch with Iwasa. I don't see it unless the IBF comes out and absolutely mandates it to happen, or if Iwasa becomes a mandatory again. Maybe he gives that a chance, but we'd have to see. TJ Doheny, he's a guy that I think he wouldn't mind fighting if he had to, just because he was waiting around for a unification with one of the other guys. And then Angelo Leo, I don't see that fight, just because Leo's with the PBC, and I don't think Ahkmadaliev's going to get. And what's the point? He lost his title. He's not a champion. So those are some of the options for later in the year for Ahkmadaliev if he gets through his next fight, which looks to be against Ronnie Rios in a WBA mandated fight. So that's it. That's what's next on Murodjon Ahkmadaliev, the undefeated and unified super bantamweight champion at 122 pounds. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.